Welcome to another episode of Management Unplugged by GR. Today, in this explainer, we're going to talk about something huge. We're talking about that invisible wall, the one that stands between a bunch of successful projects and a truly successful company.
So let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You and your team, you just pour everything into a massive project. You learn so much. And then, maybe 6 months down the line, you watch a totally different team make the exact same mistakes you just figured out how to solve. It's like the whole company has a case of amnesia. And honestly, it's what stops so many amazing teams from building something truly legendary together.
And this is really the heart of the problem. On one side, you've got what I like to call the project team island. You know these teams, they're awesome. They're flexible, they're innovative, they're masters of their own little universe. But they're isolated. And then on the other side, you've got the company mothership. It's up there trying to steer the whole fleet toward these huge company-wide strategic goals. The mothership is desperate for all the intel, all the wisdom from those brilliant little islands, but the messages just keep getting lost at sea.
And that leads to this giant paradox, right? A company can be absolutely packed with all-star teams, racking up a string of successful projects. But if everyone's rowing in a slightly different direction, the whole ship just kind of turns in a circle. All of that amazing energy, all that individual success, it just evaporates instead of combining into one massive, unstoppable force. Okay, so before we try to fix the entire fleet, let's zoom way in. If you want to build a stronger organization, you have to start with stronger building blocks. And for us, that building block is the single project. We have to make each one as tough and resilient as we possibly can.
Now, the key here isn't just to make some boring checklist. It's about a total shift in mindset. First, you assess. That means being brutally honest about everything that could possibly go wrong before you even write a single line of code or lay a single brick. Then you plan. Look, this isn't about being a pessimist. It's about being a professional. It's so that when a risk actually happens, you're not scrambling, you're just coolly executing a playbook you already wrote. And finally, you monitor, because let's be real, a plan is totally useless if it's just gathering dust in a folder. You have to watch those potential threats like a hawk, always ready to act.
Here's a thought that could literally change everything for you. A project's fate is very often sealed before it even kicks off. The absolute smartest companies out there, they don't treat risk management like some add-on they tack on at the end. No way. They bake it right into the very first conversations, sometimes even into the initial bid for the work. Before they even commit, they're asking, what are the hidden monsters here, and are we really equipped to fight them? Because you know what? Sometimes the smartest strategic move you can make is knowing which fight to walk away from.
Okay, so our individual project is now a fortress. That's fantastic. But we still have that problem of a dozen fortresses all kind of rowing in their own directions. To fix that, we need to pull the camera back. We need to zoom out from our one little island and get a good look at the entire archipelago.
And this is where this concept called enterprise risk management, or ERM, comes in. Now, I know, it sounds like a really stuffy corporate buzzword, but stick with me, because the idea behind it is incredibly powerful. The best way to think of it is as the company's central nervous system. It's the one system that's designed to feel everything, all the threats, all the opportunities, everywhere in the business, process all that information, and then coordinate one unified response that keeps the whole body moving forward.
And here's the beautiful part. That simple 3-step safety net we just talked about for your project, well, it's just a perfect little miniature version of the big company-wide ERM framework. See? Your project's risk assessment is the company's event identification. Your risk management plan, that's the company's risk response. And your monitoring is a crucial piece of the company's much bigger information and monitoring system. It all connects. It's the same exact logic, just scaled way up.
So if every company is doing some kind of risk management, why do so many still get into so much trouble? Well, it's because they're looking for danger in all the wrong places. They're busy scanning for little ripples on the surface while completely missing these massive, ship-sinking icebergs lurking just out of sight.
And when you look at where companies actually point their risk-spotting binoculars, the picture gets, well, kind of scary. A huge 90% of their attention goes to financial and operational risks. You know, the stuff you can count easily, like budget overruns or supply chain hiccups. But that tiny little 10% sliver that's left over, That's strategic risk. And those are the big, hard-to-measure threats that can actually sink the entire company. And this right here is probably the most critical takeaway of the whole explainer. Managing strategic risk isn't just about playing defense. It's not just about stopping disasters from happening. It's also about playing offense. It's about the risk of failing to innovate, the risk of a competitor completely changing the game and leaving you in the dust, the risk of not jumping on a massive opportunity because you were just too busy counting the paperclips.
So we have strong individual projects. We understand we need to look at those big, scary strategic risks. How in the world do we finally connect the two? How do we get those islands to finally start talking to the mothership in a way that matters?
It really all comes down to this one idea. This is the golden rule. The single most valuable asset any company has is the collective, hard-won experience of its people. But that wisdom is totally useless if it just stays locked inside one team's head, or gets buried in a project report that no one ever reads. The key, the absolute game changer, is to create a formal, systematic feedback loop.
So that's the real question you've got to ask about your own organization. Are you just a collection of teams celebrating finishing projects? Or are you systematically capturing the lessons, the failures, the lucky breaks, the surprise wins, and feeding all of that precious intel back into the mothership's central nervous system? Because listen, winning individual projects is temporary. Building an organization that learns, that adapts, and that gets smarter with every single step, that's how you win the whole game. See you later. Bye-bye.